And one of the moms, she told another mom, she goes, I've heard that she has her daughter there in a mattress in her warehouse and just leaves her there while she's working. And I'm so offended. And now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I did.
If all those things didn't happen, the divorce, the comments, back and forth, whatever it may have been, I don't think you would be who you are today.
Oh, for sure. But you know what? You hold on to that briefly to get you started. And then the things that propelled you and like got you up in the morning, the things that angered you and the things that put fire under you, they don't have to be the things that keep you going. Women forget is that our greatest power truly is that, yeah, we can make humans. Women can make babies. We can do the same things. We can run businesses. We can be beautiful partners to our husbands or our wives. But I think that it's like the limitations set upon women don't come from women. They come from them.
You were actually pregnant when you started all this, no?
Well, I was...
Or had your firstborn?
I just had her. Yeah.
Okay.
So she was 5 months old.
We're going to get to that because... By the way, let's introduce you because I know you guys are listening to this and we're going to unravel this. So you guys see the intro and you guys see the thumbnail, but I want to properly introduce her. President and founder, Misha's Cupcakes. The name didn't... If you didn't put it together, right? But just to put the statistics out there, 7 locations, dozens of stores that she's in, just to name a couple, Whole Foods, farm stores, a bunch of...
Thank you.
This can go on.
We wish there was more.
And no,
but we're happy that we have them.
And fair to say, I looked at a couple sources, and not that money is everything, not that, but I looked at a couple sources, said the yearly annual revenue was anywhere from 5 million to 20 million.
Yeah, I wish, no.
So I don't know where it is, but it's fair to say that you have sold hundreds and thousands of cupcakes. Millions, maybe millions.
Yeah,
100%.
Maybe, right? In
100%.
18 years, 18 and a half years. It's a lot of cupcakes.
That's how old I am.
When's your birthday?
June 11th. Literally, that's how old.
Oh my gosh.
You started the business 2005. You started it.
Yeah.
That's when I was.
Yeah, because you and my daughter literally are less than a month apart, apparently. Wow. That's really funny.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then you guys have never met.
Never met. We'll definitely meet eventually because of
For
Nina.
Sure.
100%.
Oh my gosh, yes. Nina is definitely, she's epic.
But she was here because you said she opened the package. So she stays.
What do you mean? Oh.
You remember you sent me the email and she was like, oh, my daughter and I love that.
She was working there. That's the thing, because my daughter, when she graduated from high school, she took from I guess they graduated in May.
Mm-hmm.
And so she worked in the store until January, and then she started school in January in Tampa.
Okay.
So she was at the store, and then she's like, "Mom, can you got something? Can I open it?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's a shoe."
Is that the first time you've gotten that, or you've gotten that before?
Yeah, no, I'd never gotten that before. That was actually really. I mean, I didn't forget it. That's for sure. It was weird.
It was.
And
weird.
I want the other side. I don't know where the
somebody told me they're like somebody that is on like a watch list for Cuba and like all these regimes because he talks publicly about dictatorships, socialism, communism, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I sent him the shoe and he was like, we thought that you meant that you wanted to cut off our foot. I was like, no, read the letter. Make sure you read the letter. It was a funny story, but
his first impression was.
Yeah, but we still talk to this day, so he ended up loving me.
He's still alive.
Yeah, still alive. I didn't cut off his foot. But
that's funny.
There's something that I really admire about what you've done. Apart from the success of it, apart from the location, that's a given, right? Apart from that, you're a woman entrepreneur that we are going to get later into because this is the Woman International Month special. So guys, stay tuned for more powerful women CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs.
I want to meet all of them too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Nice.
So I think somebody can look at your business and say, yeah, like cupcakes.
Yeah.
Do you want to scale that? Are you sure you want to scale that? I just doesn't make sense to me. And those early phases of when you're building a business, at least what I've been realizing, those are almost the foundation of your success. It's molding you to become. Every word that somebody says, you remember. Everything that somebody says, you cannot do that. Oh, are you sure about that? And an early experience that you had with your ex-husband,
Yeah.
You talk a lot about him in the interviews,
Oh,
but
did I?
but you mentioned that when you first started, you were like, "I'm gonna sell cupcakes," and he kind of laughed at you.
Oh, for real. Yeah.
He laughed at you, and then he followed. I don't know what the time frame of this was, but followed up by saying, "If you don't make like $50,000 this year selling the cupcakes, just find another job." And you
Yeah,
guys ended up selling 55,000
I
that year.
did. Let's not say you guys.
You.
It was me and the girl that worked with me.
You guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I meant like
Yeah.
your
I was
team
like,
and
wait,
like
what?
no, I meant the team
Yeah.
in you.
Yeah.
But you sold 55,000 in
Yeah.
cupcakes.
It was a little shocking.
What did that? What changed from you after that comment?
Well, I think, some people would be bummed by somebody saying that, and I was challenged by it. It was like, wait a second. You're saying that you don't think that I can? I'm going to meet that challenge, right? I'm going to meet that, and then I'm going to do what I would like to do. And it was more because I had this vision, not so much of making cupcakes, but more of being able to be home, to stay there with my daughter. And she and I maybe joke, I don't know if we call it a joke, but she says, the first 5 years of my life, I never saw you. And I'm like, oh, I feel terrible about it because I really was so focused on making the business like a thing. And I wanted it to be something that wasn't just like, when people are like, oh, you make cupcakes, that's so cute. And I thought to myself, cupcakes, I could be making widgets, we could be making whatever, computers. Um, I'm not a computer person, but in the sense that it doesn't matter what you're making if you're making it a business, right? So when people laugh and say dumb stuff, I'm just like, okay, whatever, And I think that back then I was, we're talking almost 19 years now. I was a different person too. And I was less, I guess, calm and more like, I'm doing this. But now it's more like I'm doing this because it's a business, and yes, it's scalable, and yes, I want to grow, and yes, I'd like an equity partner at this point in my life, and yes, there's a big change from 19 years ago, right? It's not just a home business anymore. So it's been an evolution.
Yeah. I asked that question because that's something that I'm living right now, to the second. I'm living. Someone very close to me was like, I told him the plan. I was excited about it. Hey, I'm going to do this with the podcast. I want to do this with the marketing agency. Hold up.
It's awesome.
That's not going to work out. You don't have experience for it. It's just not going to work out. And I realized, and I think this is part of the wisdom that you learn with time and through experiences. You look for a belief in somebody else. Like, hey, I'm telling you these things.
Wow.
I just want to,
So
like, can you
true.
believe in me?
Yeah.
But what you really needed was a disbelief from that person so that you could find belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing from you.
I'm impressed that you have that kind of insight and self-awareness at this point.
It does take a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because it hurts in the
Yeah.
moment. It does hurt.
I know. Especially because you're like, you're my
And
friend.
it goes to somebody
right?
that you trust too. That's the
Right.
part. And this is something that I want to emphasize because people don't realize, like, when you say you want to do something, it's you think the people that are closest to you are going to support you the most, but it may
Yeah.
actually be the opposite.
Right.
And that's kind of what you need.
I think it depends on the person too. So that those kinds of comments come from a trigger from within themselves of their own insecurity, right? And generally, I think that people, like we all say we want what's best for someone else, but when someone has something that they're passionate about and that they're so excited about, and they tell other people that might not be in that same space, it does. It like you go like, oh, and the person that is a little jealous or maybe just like insecure themselves, they're gonna bash it because it makes them feel better, And it's hard sometimes to see other people successful when you're struggling, and so then it's just picking and choosing the people that with whom you align, rather than going to somebody, maybe your childhood friend that you've known forever, or even sometimes a parent is not as supportive as they could be, right? And it feels yucky. But find the people that lift you up, that don't blow smoke up your butt, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want people lying to you.
Yeah.
But
I the rawness that we were talking about earlier, the rawness of being able to take that criticism and yeah, you started here, or yeah, that flavor, I don't like that
yeah,
flavor. Like you need those people, but that ultimately do it for the right reasons.
yeah.
And they're saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, because your enemies will point out what's wrong with you. Hey, that flavor sucked.
Yeah.
You know what? You are right about
Shoot,
that.
yeah,
I mean,
maybe it did suck.
it does suck a little bit. I thought it was good, but thank you for that. I'm gonna improve it. I'm gonna go back to the recipe, the drawing board. Perfect.
Yeah.
When you started Misha's, was there something out the get go that you wanted to scale, or was it something I just want to keep afloat? I want to.
It was because I'd had Ella and my daughter,
Yeah.
and I wanted to stay home, and I wanted to do something that I could do at home, and I liked baking, and it was more like a comfort and something that was easy for me because it
Like a
was
getaway?
no more like a thing I could do without having like a big mountain to climb to figure it out. I've always baked with my mom and dad, and well, not my dad, but with my mom for my dad. And so, see, because my mom's from Mexico, my dad grew up in Peru.
Uh-huh.
So they had like this mentality, like a very Latin mentality. And it was like, so we have to have a meat, the vegetable, the blah, 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 and always a dessert. And so there was always a dessert. And so and I enjoyed it. It was nice to bake with my mom, and it was nice to spend that time together. And so I thought of it as a business thing I could do to make some money, but not to have to go to work and be stuck at a job. And I could then take care of Ella without having to bring in, someone else to help, right? So that's how it began.
The irony in that is that when I was listening to your other interviews, that was your core motivation. But then, kind of the irony in that is that you actually spent less time with Ella because you went so all in the business.
It's funny because I remember when she went to school at St. Thomas Episcopal, and one of the moms, just a not nice mommy, because most of the moms they didn't work, and so I would come pick up Ella, and like my clothes would be covered in like cupcake stuff. I
Yeah.
was like dirty, and one of the moms she told another mom, "Oh, I've heard." It's so funny because I think about it, I'm like, what a bitch. She goes, "I've heard that she has her daughter there on a mattress in her warehouse and just leaves her there while she's working." And I was so offended. And now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I did. She was. I'd put her down for a nap, and then I'd go and I'd make stuff, right? And I thought, why wasn't I not proud of that? Why is that a bad thing? Why can't I do that mom thing and work at the same time? And listen, we have someone that's lived with us for 10 years.
And Annie. Yeah.
And I'm so lucky because I get to do what I want to do and also have someone that I love and respect take care of my kids. But at the time, we didn't have that, right? So I think that, yes, I didn't spend as much time with her in that sense. You know what I mean? We weren't going out and like going to the park and playing with stuff together, but she was still there.
Do you regret?
No, no, of course not.
I love that confidence that you don't regret it.
No, I don't regret it. Also, I know that my daughter sees how hard I've worked, and I know that she understands that I'm not saying that, oh, I sacrificed for you. Oh my God. But she knows that
But you
I,
did.
but yeah, there are sacrifices. I do it willingly, but also it's not just for her. You know what I mean? I'm doing it for her, for myself, for my own self growth, and also to be independent. And I think it's important for her to see that so that she can then as well have that as her goal and be better than I am and do greater things,
That's
whatever.
that's the goal. Always every generation to get better than the previous one.
I think so.
I talked about that with my grandfather.
What does he say?
He told me, he was like, look at my dad. What did he do?
What did he do?
He was electrician, but
Hmm.
like Cuban electrician, like not one of those electricians now that you hear that they get paid 300,000, 200, like not like that. He was electrician, I think, something like that, carpenter, something. I don't know. My grandfather worked in a warehouse. My
Okay.
mom became a nurse.
That's badass.
And then me, I'm like, okay, I come here saying all these crazy ideas. I want to do this agency. I want to do that. It's like, hold up. But I have the freedom to be able to do that because of the
Yeah.
sacrifices made 3 generations
Yeah.
ago.
Look at that. The gratitude thing. That's
Exactly.
important.
And
Right.
it is. And that leads me perfectly. It always works out, you know. I say this almost on every podcast. Like, I listen attentively to what you say. I'm like, wow, that was such a perfect like segue to what I was about to say. Because I'm not thinking of what I'm gonna say, but you just, gosh,
We brought it up for you.
perfect
There
response,
you
right?
go.
We see now. I forget what I'm gonna say. This is what. Here we go. Here we
That's
go. Here we
funny.
go. That comment that you were told,
Yeah.
outside person that doesn't understand the vision. They don't see the vision, and to them, you're crazy. And guess what? They're gonna be right for the next 5 years. They're gonna be right for the next 7 years, 10 years. They're gonna be right. And
Maybe.
that's what you have to hold on to in a way.
But you know what? You hold on to that briefly to get you started. And then the things that propelled you and like got you up in the morning, that the things that angered you and the things that put fire under you, they don't have to be the things that keep you going. Because then if we continue to let that anger and that like, I'll show you, be the reason why we do stuff, then what's the foundation, right? The foundation is something that's built on that negativity. And I let that go. And I think that, and even I know when you said about, me talking about my ex-husband and stuff like that, he and I are in a better place now. There was a lot of difficulty. And yeah, there wasn't the belief. And it took a while for him to kind of come around, and now at this point in my life I can say, because it's been 8 years since I've been divorced, it probably wouldn't have been this same kind of commentary a few years ago, but now I'm like, all that bad stuff happened to get me to the good stuff, right?
It's
And there
beautiful
was,
that you say it that way.
well, it took a lot
I know,
to
I
say
know it
that,
took a lot, but
know.
I say it's beautiful that this is gonna be a time capsule because you had a podcast 4 years ago, and I can just feel the difference in the way you're
Oh,
talking
it's so
about it.
funny.
Like
Yeah,
I could feel the difference because it was something that you were
I was still
still,
like working
and
through.
I felt it. But now it's beautiful to say like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, you're totally here, but what I am saying is that you've learned, you become more wise. Every experience that what's a Katy Perry that said? What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
A lot of people said, right?
Literally, right? But you've become this wise person that can now reflect and say,
If only I was a wise person.
you see,
You know what? Actually, when you mentioned that, I was thinking about something the other day, because you read these little Instagram things and you're like, oh, I'm so inspired. But one of them was, can when can we learn through wisdom rather than through heartache or through like bad stuff? And I was like, I'm actively going to choose to learn through learning, right? Instead of through like messing up or continuing to not look at the picture or not like figure out like what I'm doing to be part of the problem,
a
that kind of
wise
thing.
man learns from others' mistakes.
Yeah, I'm so tired of learning from my own because there's been so many,
Yeah,
it's time to learn from
it's
someone
a
else.
combination of both. But my father used to always tell me, "You're bound to make your own mistakes. Don't try to make your own mistakes because you're gonna make them, regardless if you know everything.
Yeah,
Still gonna make that mistake." But a wise man learns from others' mistakes. You
I
can
know.
cut some time, get 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years back in
Yeah,
time because you didn't do that one mistake.
seriously. That is
What was
so
that? What
true.
was that one mistake for you?
Prenup, prenup, postnup, postnup. That's what I should have done. Yeah. So if you
So
get married and you start a business while you're married, get a
prenup.
postnup.
What's, isn't it
Yeah.
a prenup?
Well, prenup is before you get married,
Oh,
right?
if you get married, you could still sign a.
Yeah, like if you have your business now and then you're going to get married, then you have a prenup
Okay.
because it's a contract, right? The marriage is a contract. And you worked really hard for your business,
You don't want to.
and then to have to divest of half of it later is painful, very painful, and financially difficult, you know? And so that sucks.
Sounds like it sucks because I don't want to think about that right now. And I want to mention something. And we'll go back to the question later, guys. I know I'm leaving you on the thing. I don't think it was your end goal to divorce.
My angle?
No, end goal to divorce. I don't think you get
Oh,
into a marriage to
no, of
say, no,
course
I'm
not.
gonna divorce, but things happen. If all those things didn't happen, the divorce, the comments,
Hmm.
back and forth, whatever it may have been, I don't think you would be who you are today.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah, that's why I say, looking back, I think lots of bad stuff happened and lots of good stuff happened from those things too. Yeah, I'm a different person than I was for sure. Would I have preferred not to have gone through some of that stuff? Yeah. And I think that something that I did and I continue to do, and it might be a mistake, is I always want to feel like I'm doing the thing that's going to make me feel okay, right? Like I'm not going to screw someone over, even if they screw me over. And sometimes I feel kind of like, why not? Why do I continue to not take on like revenge or if this person stole from me or this person, whatever.
I was told recently, and this is something I've been pondering on.
Hmm.
Pondering. That's more than thinking. Pondering on it. Somebody
Tell
told
me about
me.
your pondering.
Somebody told me.
What?
It's like a little secret. Somebody told me you're hiding behind your podcast of who you really are. I was like,
What?
I know. And I was like,
Ouch.
I got up. I was like, why do you say that?
Hmm.
Well, all you do is the podcast. All you do is your business. Like, you don't have any balance. I was like,
What are you supposed to be doing?
but I was like, I understand where you're coming from. I really do. But I don't think I'm going to excuse my inability to have a balance for a vision that I see that I know is a time frame of I'm 18 and I don't have to be worrying about a balance
Yeah.
and pleasing other people. So I was like, you know what? You are right. You probably changed my life with that comment. But still not going to excuse my not having the balance of relationships and this and books and school. Like,
Hmm.
there's never going to be a perfect balance. And if I find that, God willing, and I hope I do, I want a balance with that. Even if I do find that, there's always still going to be something. So
It's your priorities. It's not always, it's like that balance thing. It's kind of weird.
it is weird.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
There's Jeff Bezos actually explained that as a circle. You should see it as, let me have the best day possible at my business, at my job, whatever. Put all my energy into it, even if I
Yeah.
get off at 9, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And then tomorrow, let me just stay up a little later, like at 11 with my family, my
Hmm.
kids, girlfriend, just because I have the energy from yesterday, put that in. And that good time you had with your girlfriend, your husband, take it into the next day for your work
Yeah.
as a synergy. That's the way I see it.
Like a pie,
A pie.
like the pieces in the pie.
That's the way I see it. I don't want to see it as like, oh, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. schedule restrict religiously. It's different.
Right.
When I get married, maybe I'll see it as that. But right now, it's like, I want to grind. Like, there's a once in a lifetime
Yeah,
opportunity.
absolutely. You don't have kids, you're young. It's like, you
And
got to be doing this.
yeah, and I know right now is the time to really set myself up for the rest of my life, realistically. I say that experience not to talk about myself, but to circle because I think you had the same thing. And I know you had the same thing. You, and this is me assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong. When I hear your interviews, there was a tipping point of, do I have a balance with this? Do I like feel sorry for myself for getting home sometimes at 8, 9, that Friday night when your husband will call, ex-husband will call you and say, hey, are you going to be home 5 p.m.? And then
Wow, you
7:30
really
came
did
up.
watch my stuff.
7:30 p.m. You still weren't home.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if
Been
you want to
called to
talk
the
about
carpet.
this, but forgetting about Ella,
Oh, yeah, I did. I forgot to pick her up.
forgot to pick her up.
At Temple Judea. Oof. Poor
All
thing.
those things of, it's very easy from outward in to say, hey, you need to have more of a balance. But either way, you still chose, this is the vision I see, I'm going to go all in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and I was tired. And then I think that it's like you either decide to have whatever we call balance or like a priority shift, or your body decides for you, you know? And so, meaning like the stuff that's around you falls apart, or your family falls apart, or your health falls apart, that kind of thing, right? Your relationships suffer for your lack of connection with them, or you're just focused so much on one thing that then other things start to kind of crumble. And my health kind of was crumbling in a way because I was working so much and I was so tired. But I liked working, you know. I liked being there, and I liked watching things get made and watching things
Yeah.
get cleaned up and finished, and so and there's also the avoidance factor, right? Like sometimes I wanted to not have to go home, and then because then I had to cook dinner, and then I had to do all the other stuff that I was like, well, I'm working till really late in a real partnership. Shouldn't this be like a joint thing? Like, why am I doing all of the female things as well as what we would consider the male things? So I'm working, but I'm also taking care of the home. I'm taking care of the dinners. And I got resentful, and I felt kind of like if I don't go home, then maybe I don't have to do all that stuff. But I still did. And so then, but that's me being avoidant and not saying, hey, I need help. You know, I need help. It could come from you, it could come from someone we pay, but I need help. And so it took a little bit, and that's my ego talking there too, you know?
But you learned.
Yeah, well, kind of the hard way. I actually learned how to shift when I got pregnant with my last son because
You have 3 kids, right?
I have three,
Okay.
yeah. And he I had placenta previa. He was like a surprise, and so I didn't anticipate the shift that it would cause in my work because I was still making the batter, I was still baking the stuff, I was still making, and it was at that point it was like heavy,
Yeah.
and and it was such a physical aspect of it. So I'd get to work at 4 and then I would come home super late. And so when I found out that I was pregnant and I had this placenta previa, my doctor said, well, you can't lift anything that's more than a pound or something like that. And I was like, well, you know, I'm lifting 50-pound bags of sugar and flour and all this stuff. And I kind of like blew it off, but then I had the repercussions of that, right? The consequences of blowing it off and then bleeding and then I'm pregnant and like that's dumb, you know? Like come on. So finally my doctor was like, "No problem. You need to go to the hospital." So I got stuck in the hospital for 2 months and I had to like figure it out. So having to shift from doing all that stuff and then handing over these responsibilities to somebody else, that's that was hard. And that was when I realized like I'm trying to do everything because I don't think anyone else can do it the way that I do it, that I'm limiting myself. I literally limited myself by that. And so it was like the world just said, you're not going to be able to do that because then you're not going to be able to grow and you're not going to have a baby because you're going to die.
Yeah.
So,
I not pushing back, but and I think you realize this now. The only reason that you've gotten to where you are today, exactly 7 locations, being in the dozen stores, is because you realize, okay, I cannot have my hands in every aspect
yeah.
of the thing. And I need to trust people, make the key hires, and delegate and systemize this because if I am the CEO running the operations, figuring out how to get new
Yeah.
orders, and then also making the batter,
It's
when did you
exhausting.
change that, like that tipping point of like, okay, let
It was
me
then. It was then when I was in the hospital and I couldn't do it. So I'm literally moved into the hospital. And so then I'm there and I had to have other people do all those things. And that was hard just because also it was like relinquishing the control of all my stuff, you know?
but it all
And
grew when you decided to really trust and make those key hires.
oh, well, I mean, it's so funny when like objectively people are like, you need to make the key hires and you need to do this and that. It doesn't always happen that way. It happens that
Of
way in like a
course.
big corporation, you know.
Of course.
And if it would happen that way, it would be so great because then we would probably not have hired some of the people that we hired that really weren't beneficial to us. And I think that now knowing that it's this friend of mine, an FIU person too, she told me be slow to hire and quick to fire.
Oh my God. Who I know who.
Anna, her name is Anna Atine.
Hold on. What company does she work with?
She did FIU startup. So
There's
the
somebody that
food,
is slow. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I think it's probably you
No, it
know,
is a famous scene, but there's somebody that.
that told you recently. There's a list in your head. I see.
Gosh.
See your little Rolodex.
There's somebody that specifically. All right, sorry. Continue. I
Recently
think
told you that?
there's somebody that specifically told me that. Slow to hire.
Think about it though. Like the whole slow to hire.
Yeah. Sorry, continue with your thought. You see, this is what I love podcasts. It doesn't have to be so formal. I want it to be.
Oh God, I'm not really formal.
You're not.
Anyway, so yeah, at that point, then when I'd had,
Yeah.
his name is Grayson. I'd had Grayson, and
It's a unique name, Grayson.
he's wonderful. Well, they're all wonderful, you know.
No favorites.
Of course not. How could you say that? They're all unique. I mean, Ella is my only girl. And then I have two only boys. So they're all special.
I think you're the perfect model of what women in America should be like. Exception, and I will say this, and maybe I'm
Exception is
traditional.
your mom.
Huh?
Your mom.
No, my mom she worked very hard. She was a single mother. She raised me. She worked. She was in med school. So,
That's awesome.
and
hard.
another, yeah, very extremely hard. Another thing that I also realized, she also had my sister which is 3 years old right now. So I have a different level of admiration because I didn't know what goes on behind raising a kid. I really did not know, and I'm just like, man, moms, all you have to do is take care of a kid, full-time mom. Like, genuinely, I'm just me being open.
That's harder than going to work.
Oh my
let me
gosh.
tell you.
Waking up at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, not a break because you have to do the breastfeed. There's always something, and I have a new level of admiration.
Aw, that's nice.
And I want to end this podcast, obviously, because you guys know it's Women International Month. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I truly think the highest calling of a woman is to be a mother. Now, that is from an outside in, because I understand how hard that is, and I don't think you guys have a different level of patience, and I realize that with my mom. This is why I say that.
If you want me to get into this conversation, I will get all into it. But
Oh,
you're
I
not
want you.
gonna like it.
No, and
You're
this
not
is
gonna like
what
it.
this is what I like. No, this is what I like. This is the point that I'm getting to. I'm not saying like, oh, only women are supposed to be a mother. No, I'm saying the most beautiful thing about women is that they can be a mother and have the patience that I see that nobody had around me, because my mother has that, and I
That's
see the
nice.
admiration. Now, the second part to that is that you built a business and stuck to the vision and did what is supposedly only a male's thing. Building a business, being an entrepreneur, making your own money, doing this, running operations, that's two things that is not normal, but you have it. And I think many women that are listening to this want that. They want listen, at the end of the day, I want to be a mother. It's not like I want to just work. I want to be a mother, but I have a vision. I don't want to just, my whole identity is just being a mother. Now, that's an exception. Some women are like that. That's fine. Either way is fine. But you building the business that you built and also being a mother, also raising kids through the midst of all this, share your takeaway.
I could expound upon my feelings, and this could get spicy. But
I love
think-
spicy.
I think really what women forget is that our greatest power truly is that, yeah, we can make humans, right? So I can make a human, and I don't think that there's any man that I know that can do that. And not to be a weird, like, rah rah women, blah, blah, blah. But we forget that power in the sense that women can make babies. We can do the same things. We can run businesses. We can be beautiful partners to our husbands or our wives, whatever we choose. But I think that it's like the limitations set upon women don't come from women, they come from men. And when women accept those limitations, that's when we create a society where women then are limited. And so if you accept that as your limitation, then we perpetuate this women thing that women are just to be mothers. And quite frankly, women are the creators of this baby, but like you're there too, dude. So this should be a partnership so that equally we can do the things that fulfill us. Equally, you can go and work, I can go and work, we can raise our child. But it doesn't have to be that all the responsibilities then fall upon the woman, because the fact is women do more. Women do more on a daily basis, regardless of whether they are single mothers or whether they're in a partnership. And so I think it's recognizing that, and then also in a partnership, male woman or woman, whatever that is, and to say, hey, you know what? I'm validating you for the fact that you are the woman, you're working, you're taking care of the household, but I need to be part of that too. And so this needs to
100%.
be a joint venture, quite frankly, because otherwise then you have resentment and then you have bitterness. And you know what? The reality is, yeah, so I have this business and I have 3 kids and I'm divorced and whatever, but like I'm also tired. You know what I mean? Like I'm tired, and it would be lovely to have a partnership in which there was that kind of like equal help and the validation and the recognition of like all the things that a woman brings
Yeah.
to the table. Now, I'm not those like, male bashers. I love my men. I'm not going to say anything about that. But I think it's also it is women need to really fight against that mentality that we are supposed to just be in the home, or oh, she has to leave work early because she has kids, like it's like, why is that a negative? Why don't you say, wow, she has kids, she's showing up to work. You get a single mom or a mom who's working and also has kids, and you're going to get a woman who knows, like, I have from this time to this time to get my job done. So I'm going to do that because I know I have to leave and I have to go pick up my kids. So you're going to get a more valuable person in that sense, because they have responsibilities. They have to be accountable to another person, right? Look, I'm all about like women and women helping women and building their businesses and growing together and doing it in like community, because why not, right?
Collaboration over competition.
Yeah, I mean, what's the big deal? This is a big city. This is a big world. There's business for everybody.
100%.
So we might as well help each other out.
That was the most beautiful way that you could have ended it on. And I really wanted to extract that out of you,
It's sweet.
because the biggest thing that I realized from the beginning of the interview is they said a partnership. Partnership, a partnership, a partnership, and not marriage, marriage, marriage. Now, interesting that you say that, because this is my take on it. It's a partnership. It shouldn't be handle all the kids because, oh, I'm making the money,
Oh
I'm
my
doing.
God.
No, hey, can I take care of the kids today? Can I do the diapers? Can I make their milk? Okay, cool. Yeah, just handle that. That is, and some men will say this is where it's either two extremes, which I don't think is where we need to be.
Yeah, I don't either.
Super feminine, like I don't need a guy, I can raise a kid by myself. Okay, good luck doing that. Or a man, oh, men are women are only supposed to take care of the kid. I never want to see the kid. I discipline the kid, and that's it. Like you said,
That sucks too.
it's the partnership.
Right.
Hey, obviously you're the mom, I'm the dad. I'll learn this with time, but this is my point of view. I'm young, I'm learning. This is what I like from my family. Let me take care of the kid today. Let me do the diaper, whatever. Tomorrow, let's go on shifts. Like, I don't know how you want to do this, but let's figure out a way, because I don't
Yeah.
want you to be stressed with this. You have your work. If you want to
Yeah.
work. I support you. But I don't think it should be an extreme in either way. And that's what I really love the way you ended that, because you said, yes, if you have a business, if you have a vision, don't think that just because you're a woman that you can't do that. But also, don't forget that like it's easier when you have a man and that understands a partnership, that believes in your values, that sees the vision,
Yeah, that would be nice.
and get that.
Right, that would be nice. And you don't have to put this on your little thing,
We can cut it
but
out.
I'll tell you, if there was the understanding that like this partnership, whatever it is, if everyone contributed equally, or it was like, hey, how can I help you, and her, how can I help you? How can we help each other?
I really appreciate you taking your time, and I see where you're coming from, and I hope you guys see as well that it's not about the two extremes, but it's also about if you have a vision, regardless of what that person thinks, says, or whether they support you or not, go all in on that. Equally so, go go all in on it, but figure out a way to not be a slave to it. Meaning, find the systems, find the people that you surround yourself with that also see the vision, that will help you create that, build the operations, make relationships, and then on top of all of that, fair to say, be a good partner, be a good mother, be a good son, be a good daughter, be whatever it may be, and your life was comprised of that. And Jenny, I would love to do an interview in the future, like
Sure,
both
let's do it.
2 years, a year, three. I don't know, just when the time is right, because I see you evolving, and I saw in the other interviews that you were at. I see it from starting off from Dayland Mall on a kiosk to now where you're at now. Like I see the thing, and I really appreciate you sharing your insights, your story, your perspective on things. Because I believe, I don't think, I believe that a lot of people need to hear this. A lot of people need to hear this.
You know what I think? I think that I want to interview you in 5 years because I think you're going to do wonderfully.
Hope so. It's God's plan, man.
Absolutely.
We'll get there. But I really appreciate you taking the time. Anything you want to leave the guest on?
Just thanks. I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you.
It was a pleasure meeting you too. Guys, Women's International Month, Heat Podcast. A lot more to come. Subscribe down below so you guys can stay tuned to all the interviews. And follow the Instagram for clips. I'm going to link all your stuff. Can people do online orders and get it shipped? Or is it only location-wise?
They can do it through goldbelly.com.
Goldbelly.com. I'm going to link everything. I'm going to ask for all your links. Guys, check it out. Check out the flavors. Crazy good. She gave me a bunch. I don't know if I'm supposed to say. She gave me a bunch that I'm going to eat, and I'm going to personally share my story. So if you want to see that, follow the Instagram, everything. Guys, thank you for making it to the end. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. Love you. See you next time. Bye.